makers. Reason number 1. Why your steam iron refuses to heat or turn on. The power outlet. Before we check the power outlet, we have to prepare this powder. It has got a powerful purpose right before the end of this video. Before you unscrew a single screw, there is one huge mistake most people make. Is your socket actually working? Ions are power-hungry beasts that can easily trip your mains. So, I use a simple 100-watt bulb to test it. Imagine taking the whole iron apart, only to find out the socket was dead the whole time. The power is good. Let's dig deeper. Reason number 2, the plug and cord. Look closely at these prongs. Do you see any burns, rust, or are they wiggling? If that plug looks guilty, don't hesitate. Cut it off and swap it for a heavy-duty replacement. Now check the cord. Any cuts or kinks? Here is the secret most people miss. Because ions are always moving, the wires inside get tired and snap, usually right here at the base. The rubber might look perfect, but is the wire broken inside? Now, this is the most dangerous part. We're testing with live power. Plug in the iron. Turn on the adapter. Now, go crazy with the cable. Wiggle it, press it, twist it. Watch the light like your life depends on it. If it flashes, problem found. But wait, check the temperature first. If it's on off or too low, the light won't turn on and you'll think it's broken when it's not. That one mistake can waste your whole repair.
But don't let this tool scare you. You don't need a degree to use a multimeter, and you definitely don't need an expensive one. A $4 model does the exact same job. We are testing the live against the neutral pin. If the iron is working, we expect to see about 20 to 50 ohms of resistance. But look at the screen, nothing. Even when I adjust the temperature dial, silence. That tells us the circuit is broken inside. But is it safe? Let's check for leaks. Testing the pins against the earth pin shows no connection. That's a relief, it's safe to touch. Now the most important safety test. I'm sanding it to get a clean contact. We need a perfect connection from the earth pin to this plate. If this doesn't beep, the iron is a death trap. And there it is, 0.0 ohms. The safety systems are working perfectly. Since the cable passed the test, we know the power cord isn't the problem. That means the fault is buried deeper inside the iron. We have to go in, but before we touch a single screw, stop. Look at the wall. Double check that the plug is completely out. Electricity is invisible, and it doesn't give second chances. Next, we need to drain every drop of water from the tank. Working on an iron full of water is a recipe for disaster. If this leaks onto the circuit board while we are working, we go from a broken iron to a dead one. Let's get it bone dry.
Manufacturers hate when you do this. They put these special security screws here to stop you from fixing your own iron. See? My tool won't fit because of that safety pin. It's a classic anti-repair tactic. I don't have the special hollow bit with me right now. But we improvise, we adapt, we overcome. I brought out a small flathead screwdriver instead. If you angle it right, it works perfectly. The client complained about a burning smell. Who knows what we might get? Let's find the source of the smoke.
The screws are out, but the back cover is still stuck. This is a classic manufacturer trap. If you pull it now, snap. You ruin the iron. Look at how it slides right under the top handle cover. And this handle wraps all around the iron. To get the handle off, we have to find the hidden screws. And guess where they are hiding? Right under these top buttons. The spray and the steam burst. Let's pop them out. Time for surgery. Don't ruin the plastic. To bypass this trap safely, I'm using a piece of a broken knife. It slides in perfectly. A little pressure, and we are in. Now what's waiting underneath?
Hidden screws. Check under the water lid. Yep, one there too. Next, pop off the steam dial. Lift the trim around the water hole. What do we find? 2 more screws. It's like a Russian nesting doll. Pro tip, take photos of everything right now. If you don't take pictures as you go, reassembling this will be a nightmare. Trust me. And hey, if you're working on a totally different brand and you're stuck, just tell me the model in the comments and I'll help you crack it open. This is it, the final screw holding the back cover. Once this is out, the plastic slides right off. Here are the 3 main wires from the power cord, and right next to them, the heating indicator light. We've got neutral, earth, and live. Is the cable secretly broken? Let's test continuity from the plug right to these ends. Neutral gives us a beep, perfect continuity. Live passes and earth is solid. The cable is completely innocent. So, if the cable is good, what killed this ion? We have to go deeper to find the real culprit. This screw right here holds the heat shield plate to the sol plate. And this whole black part here, this is the heat shield plate. It is the ultimate protector, literally shielding the plastic tank from the 200 degrees Celsius metal base. Now look at this red part. That's the water tank. And it's only held by these two screws. Look closely. The tank sits all around the heat shield plate. It wraps around it. So if anything leaks here, it goes straight down. Let's remove these three screws. Quick question. Has your iron ever spit dirty brown water while ironing? Tell me if yours does this, because I'm about to show you the nightmare inside. Now watch this. Don't try to pull the tank yet. There are hidden screws under the temperature dial. If you force it, you will break it. Pop the temperature dial. Careful. Some models have a small spring inside. If that spring jumps out, you'll spend 20 minutes looking for it. Now all screws are out. Be gentle with these tubes, slow and smooth. And we have our first major clue. Look at this. The rubber gasket is melted. The thermostat likely failed, overheating the base and baking this rubber. Now, these two screws hold the heat shield plate to the sol plate. Let's see what's hiding under here. Remove the screws. Lift it slowly. Whoa, look at that. That is lint, dust, burnt fabric fibers. Over time, steam pulls tiny cloth fibers inside, and they mix with heat, and they bake in here. That's why it looks like wool. This doesn't happen in one day. This builds up for years. Look how much there is. No wonder it has failed. Now let's remove this old gasket. It just snaps in half. That's dry rot. Heat makes rubber hard, then it cracks. Now we clean everything. Scrape off all this dirt. The cleaner this surface is, the easier it is to test the parts next. And trust me, what we test next is the real heart of the iron. Before we test the heart of the iron, we have to map the veins. Let's look at how the power actually flows. Here's how this iron really works. This blue neutral wire comes in, passes right through the thermostat switch, then into this side of the heating element. And the heating element runs all the way inside this sol plate. Now watch this. The live wire takes the opposite path. It comes straight from the power cord, passes through this safety thermal fuse, and feeds into the other side of the element. These two white wires power the indicator light, and they connect across the element. And finally, this yellow earth wire, which we already tested and know is perfectly safe. The map is laid out. Now, let's test the one part that controls everything. Reason number 3 why your iron won't turn on is a dead thermostat switch, the brain of the iron. This switch works directly with the sol plate. This bimetallic strip bends when heated. When the iron reaches your set temperature, between low all the way to 250 degrees, it bends away and breaks the circuit, turning the element off. That cuts the power so you don't burn your clothes. When it cools, it snaps back and reconnects power. But if these contacts get dirty, the power can't jump this gap. Let's test. I'm testing across the switch now. The display shows nothing yet. Now let me turn the dial to force them together. Okay, I have numbers, but this is bad news. The meter shows 1.6 kilo ohms. That is a massive blockage. A healthy switch should be virtually 0 ohms. This means the contacts are burnt, creating a massive wall of resistance. But don't give up easily. Grab a piece of sandpaper to scrub off the rust and carbon blocking the current. I spent 10 minutes sanding these contacts to scrub away the rust, trying to get down to clean bare metal. The multimeter needs to show 0 ohms for the current to flow to the element. Let's retest. Unbelievable. 2.7 kilo ohms. The resistance actually got worse. The contacts are carbonized. Sanding couldn't save it. These contacts are burned out. No amount of sanding will fix this. This thermostat switch needs to be replaced. Reason number 4. The thermal fuse. Every bit of electricity going to the heating element must pass through this tiny part. If this fuse is blown, the ion is completely dead. Let me remove this screw so we can reach the test points. This sleeve around the fuse is very important. It keeps the fuse from touching the metal sole plate and causing a short circuit. Now, here is the fuse. If it's good, my multimeter should beep and show 0 ohms. Let's check. Nothing. Not even a sound. Just like the thermostat, this fuse is also gone. Let me touch the probes together. Hear that beep? That's the reading we should get. But on the fuse, silence. Now, listen carefully. Never bypass a thermal fuse. I know some people twist the wires to skip it. Yes, the ion turns on, but you are building a missile. Why? Because if the thermostat fails, the ion will rocket past 250 degrees. The thermal fuse is designed to sacrifice itself and stop the ion to save you from a house fire. If you bypass it and the thermostat fails, this ion could kill you. And one more important thing, never solder a thermal fuse. The heat from soldering can destroy the new fuse instantly, or the 250 degrees Celsius high heat from the sol plate later can melt the solder. Always crimp the connection. In many ions, fuses blow simply because they are old, or because the manufacturer used a cheap, lower amperage rated part. But in this case, something bigger happened. The thermostat failed fast, the ion overheated badly, and this fuse took the heat to protect everything else. We are not done yet. And see that rust? That could be our next suspect. Reason number 5. The heating element, the heart of the ion. Let's see if it's alive. Probes across both ends of the element. And the multimeter shows 25 ohms. That's exactly what we want. If your meter shows 0 ohms, the element has shorted internally. An OL reading means the heating wire inside is cut. But is it safe? Element end against earth. No beep. Good. Now the other side of the element to earth. Still no beep. If the meter beeps here, the insulation has failed and the ion could shock you. But this element looks healthy. And that's how you quickly test the heating element of an ion. We solved the mystery. Here's the truth. This ion is beyond repair. Look at the casualty list. The thermostat switch is dead. The thermal fuse sacrificed itself. Rust is already forming around the internal parts. And these rubber gaskets have become brittle from heat and age. This seal is already hardened. And under the tank, 2 more have warped from heat. Buying all this costs more than a new ion. But if you are fixing yours, here are the golden rules for reassembly. Look at these screws. Some are short, some are longer. Put them back exactly where you found them. One wrong screw can crack the plastic housing or puncture the tank. If you can find new rubber gaskets, replace them all to prevent sole plate leaks. When reinstalling the temperature dial, do not lose the tension spring. Some models even use tiny ball bearings for the click positions. Use the photos you took during disassembly as your map. And if you need to replace the indicator lamp, polarity doesn't matter. This neon indicator works in either direction. Once you reassemble, do not plug it into the mains yet. Check neutral to live. If you see around 10 to 50 ohms, the circuit looks good. Neutral to earth, no short. Live to earth, no short. I wanted to bring this back to life, but here in Zimbabwe, these spare parts are extremely hard to find. If you have a secret parts supplier or dealer, let me know in the comments so we can continue this repair in a future video. And hey, where in the world are you watching from? Now, these parts may look like junk, but in the next video, we're turning them into an expensive new invention. So stay subscribed. And for the powder, I apologize. Without the spare parts, This powder has no use today. Hit subscribe because in the next video, we are turning these scrap parts into a high-tech invention. And this powder is the secret ingredient.